For more information on my programs, please visit massajady.com. That's MASSAJADY.com.
Hello, this is Sajady. Welcome to my podcast, Exponential Intelligence, the High Performance Consciousness Podcast. This is where we go beyond, say, the physical parameters of wealth and abundance. We get 360 degrees of abundance. That means all-around abundance, health, wealth, relationships, everything runs in high performance mode. That connection to your higher self. So it's a melding of physical wealth and spirituality. Today we're going to be talking about a fantastic subject that everybody in the business world talks about, success habits. What do successful individuals do to become successful? Right. So I was checking on the internet. I have a ton of questions or a ton of tips, and we'll go through them and why they're wrong. This podcast title is called Success Routines, the Myth. And then we'll show you how to do it the proper way so you can benefit greatly from it, just like those individuals who are highly successful. This paradigm came about as I've been thinking about, say, the new business paradigm that many of you heard me talking about. So this is part of those series, the new business paradigm. And it really got, say, inspired where a business magazine wanted to do an interview on me, and they sent me a few questions, about 10 questions. I'm just going to read a few of them, like what's your proudest moment? How did your business get started? What did you learn from your favorite mentor? And a lot of people nowadays, it's like you have to have a mentor. That's the buzzword, right? You have to have a mentor, otherwise, it's the fastest way to be successful. But is it? That's another podcast, by the way. The question that I want to focus in on is question number 8. It's on routines. So these are the 3 questions that we're going to go through. I'll explain from exponential intelligence how to do it properly, and then the conventional way, and why the conventional way might actually be sabotaging you, being against your success that you so desire. The 3 questions that they talk about is, how do you prevent burnout? Okay. What's your daily routine for success? Morning and evening rituals that you might have. And then what single habit gives you 80% of your results? And it's a very key question, because for the most part, if you look on the internet, if you Google daily success routines, you'll find powerful daily examples for high achieving you. 11 daily habits of exceptionally successful individuals from Inc.com. 33 daily habits of highly successful people. Daily success routines, 90-day goal planner. This one is 10 morning routines of wildly successful entrepreneurs. And it goes on and on and on and on. This one I want to talk about, the powerful daily routines. It says an excellent daily routine sets you up for success. If you make just one change that saves you 10 minutes per day, you can regain 60 hours of your precious time back each year. This was an interview done with a renowned productivity and time management coach. I'm not going to get into who that was, but to me, I wouldn't do it. It's not going to work. And I'll tell you why these daily success routines don't work, okay? Because what you do on a daily basis is not the reason why those individuals got successful. Those successful individuals don't even know what the hell made them successful. They have no concept, they have no idea on what they did to make them successful. They get to see the results, they get to attach, say, their success to something that they consciously do or they physically see that they do, and then they go, well, that's it. So for example, goal setting is a key factor for many successful individuals. I'm not saying goal setting doesn't work, but why doesn't goal setting work for about 90% of the individuals that try goal setting? Are we doing something wrong? Is there something wrong with us? We're not good? No, It's not that. It's because there's a deeper reason on why goal setting works for successful people, and it doesn't work for the most of us. There's a reason why there's successful individuals who do the daily routines. They wake up earlier, they work harder, they work, their fingers to the bone, whatever it might be, whatever all those concepts or billionaire social media posts, right? You see those motivational quotes, right? And they're work your ass off or do this. You're not going to get wealthy from 9 to 5. And that's true. You're not. But then it's also true that you're not going to get wealthy by conforming to those standards, conforming to, in this case, daily routines of, say, the rich or powerful or highly successful individuals. Let me give you an example. Why? Okay? And these are just a few examples. So there's an interview. Some guy asks a very successful individual, well, what's your daily routine? It's like, well, every morning I wake up, I set a goal, I set 3-4 priorities, and then, I stick to that plan. Okay, that's not why. That's not why he got successful. It's got nothing to do with it. The reason why he's successful, and by the way, my abilities, as I can tap into anybody, dead or alive, and understand their underlying mechanisms. In this case, I've studied a lot of successful individuals, and time after time after time, what they say on those interviews, what they write about in their books, have nothing to do with their success. Okay? In fact, there's an individual out there. Well, I'll tell you that story later. But coming back to this example, sorry, I kind of bounce around a lot because. For several reasons, by the way. One, I get you out of that entrainment of linear thinking. That's one major block to individuals who want to be successful. Linear thinking. Okay? So my podcasts are based on more of a mind map, more of a 3-dimensional, 4-dimensional pattern of thought. Okay? So I do jump around. There is a reason for that. I open up spaces for you and keep them open so your mind doesn't close off as we get to the next step. It expands and grows the knowledge. It entangles the knowledge that I give you and entangles it with the knowledge that you have to produce something else. Okay? That's a key important factor. By the way, that's one of the success principles that most individuals, entrepreneurs, don't ever talk about because they don't even know what's going on with them. They have no idea that that's what they do. Okay? I've gotten this derived from this, one, tapping into highly successful individuals at a deep programming level or the source code level, and then also tapping into people, highly successful individuals, through the course of work that I do. C-suite executives, highly skilled individuals, intelligent science type minded individuals, athletes, gold medal athletes, and then also like royalty and so on like that. They have similar things in common. By the way, that's one of the key factors is expansive thought process or 3-dimensional thought. Okay? Which is another podcast. Coming back to routines, the myth about them is, back to my story, is that this individual is what he's saying is not the reason why he's successful. The reason why he's so, say, time focused is that back in the day, he used to, say, disconnect from time. He used to always be out of time. He used to, say, go into alternate realities, alternate, say, mythical fairyland, I guess you could call it. And from there, that's where he got some fantastic ideas. But he couldn't bring back those ideas because he was, say, in another consciousness or another reality. When he came back, it's like, as a young child, it's like, well, what the hell happened? What happened to that great adventure that I had? Why can't I remember? It's like a dream. You have a dream, it's so vivid, and then you wake up, and then you can't access that dream state because you're in a different reality. It's not that you're forgetful or you can't access that part of your mind. It's because you create that dream state from a different reality than your awake state. So what he did was he figured out that if he, say, connected into time, so what he did as he aged was that when he went into those deeper realms, those higher spaces where he got the knowledge, just like a lot of, great inventors, a lot of great scientists, where do they get their ideas? Not in this reality. They don't make it from their conscious mind. Their conscious mind is not made for that. What they do is they access it from a higher realm. They bring it back. So he figured out that if he focused himself on time, right, being focused, being precise on time, he would make a schedule, and then as he, say, got into the deeper layers or different realities, he'd notice the time that he, say, left this reality. And then when he came back, he could connect precisely back in time. And as he did, the knowledge, that's from the other side, wherever, whatever you want to call it, different realities, different consciousness, the ethers, etheric body, whatever it is that you want to call it, it doesn't matter. It's somewhere outside of this time frame. He brings it back. He brings it back with full knowledge, full access at a conscious level. And that's where he's got his ideas. That's where he made his millions. Okay? It's not his routine. His routine is a result. It's the after effect. So if you copy his routine, well, you'll be more scheduled, you'll be more on time, but are you going to get rich and famous? Maybe, maybe not. Okay? There's other examples I can give you. This is an example of where you're pressured to be your best. So in this daily routine, the gentleman always had to be, say, dressed to perfection. Everything had to be into perfection. Everything had to be, well, it's tip-top. It had to be perfect. So his daily routine is to look, say, as best as he could. And that's where he gets his confidence, being as best as he could. Right? So he spews that. He sends that out. And there's nothing wrong with being as best as you, being and looking as best as you could, being your tip-top shape. Okay? It's not his daily morning routine that's making him successful, though. Okay? If you go back in his history, he was never good enough. And by the way, I'm not going to name names. Okay? But when he was young, no matter what he did, he was never good enough. So what he did was always try to be better and better and better and better, right? He'd get 5 out of 6 A's, right? The last one was a B, 5 A's, 1 B. Parents go, well, what the hell happened here? Why did you get a B? Probably got scolded or punished, right? So he had to do his best possible self, right? His self-image, again, you had to be prim and proper. Even at being that perfect, being in perfection, it wasn't good enough. There was always something, say, with his tie or whatever, if he was ready to go to church or some special occasion, right? It's always little picky things that, say, mom would pick on. And that's why he said, and he turned it into a positive. This is the difference. If you want to learn success routines of the successful, okay, you want to turn everything that happens to you in a positive. That's another trait that people don't really teach you. Okay. So in this scenario, this gentleman, he didn't take that as, a scolding or an abuse pattern or anything like that, although many people who aren't so successful would take it as that, right? My mother never, my parents never, say, obliged me, never gave me that confidence to go forward. Well, this gentleman, no matter what happened to him, he always took it as, well, that carrot, that stick that pushed him forward. So he became his best possible self at all times available to him. He worked that way through high school, being the top, being the best, and not, say, cutting people down, not destroying other people as competition. That wasn't his way. He's a super nice guy. It wasn't his way. He was competing against himself to be his best possible self. Okay? That's what made him successful. So he graduated with honors, very intelligent, and not just book smart, but very street smart, because for him, perfection was an all-around concept. Right? It wasn't just about, I'm going to get really good grades in school and then that's going to be it. I'm going to let the rest of my life, fall away on the wayside, like many successful individuals do. Not him. He was an athletic star, very personable. He helped people in the right way, by being there, by supporting them in the proper way. The way he didn't get supported, he was the flip opposite of that. So he understood the concept, and he understood also that that concept would not do well for a lot of people who would run, say, opposite or 180-degree patterns from him. Okay, so he made it a business. He made it a success. He was very successful in his business because of his precision of being, perfect. So fast forward. Unfortunately, when you run this pattern, and many like C-suite type executives or highly successful entrepreneurs, they make billions of dollars. But what happens is that push, right, that motivational factor, in this case perfection, they don't know when to get off that train. So what happens is they become super successful, they don't know when to get off that train, and then their success isn't good enough for them. They have to make more money. Nothing's perfect. And money, as you know, or as I teach, is a magnifier of the weaknesses and the strengths that you are. So it magnifies, unfortunately, it magnifies your weaknesses a bit more. It's not that, well, that's not true either, sorry. It doesn't magnify your weaknesses a bit more. But what do? You pay attention to those, sore spots of your life a bit more, right? That's more accurate. So sorry about that. So very successful individual, but you know what? He's still trying to perfect himself. He's still not good enough. He's still thinking that he could do more. So his success isn't, say, as blessed to him as he is. His marriage, let's say, not the best, his family life, because, well, people can always do better. And so he burns a lot of people out. Not trying to, but being in that space of, right, always perfecting himself, while other people around that, close personal individuals, well, they feel that push and they're not running the same pattern as his. So, with his daily routine of being your best possible self, is that going to get you successful? You probably look really good, but if you don't run the same underlying patterns as his, hell no. Not going to get you successful. Okay, let me give you another example of highly successful individuals who said that creating specific goals and writing down all the details, right? That was his morning routine, or his nightly routines. His nightly routines. He would write down the goals and then dream about them. Okay, and then that was his success tip for this talk that I think it was a talk or an article that he did. But again, the underlying factor, as I tapped into him, it's got nothing to do with it. Well, it's got something to do with it, but the underlying reason is that he dreamt about, say, the perfect life that he could have if he was successful. Let's just say he wasn't the most popular person at school. He wasn't the most liked in the family. Right? He was a loner. He was, say, an outcast. Nowadays, nerds are cool because of the amazing technology. They were always cool in my eyes. But back in the day, nerds weren't that cool, right? So what did he do? He dreamt about the day that he would be successful, where people would gravitate towards him, people would love him for the ideas, the inventions that made other people's lives happy. And he would claim that space. He would dreamt of, say, somebody that would love him for say, his brilliance and would motivate him to higher and higher spaces, right? Sexual transmutation, I think, is chapter 10 in Think and Grow Rich. That's what he dreamt about because, well, for the most part, he thought he was a loser. Nobody really connected with him. By the way, if you're a young kid, you're popular, you see somebody that's shy or other people pick on them, be that person that steps up. If you have kids, and again, like they're popular, my kids are very popular. They're very nice kids. They step up to the plate. I've taught them to step up to the plate. Those kids that are a little, say, nerdy or out of place and so on, it's the best thing that you can do to give somebody that hand that goes, hey, it's okay to be you. It's all you have to make them feel. And it's pretty simple. The cool thing about that, if you do it not from, this sap needs help, but wow, that person is just like another human being, and I bet he's got a lot of hidden resources. If you come from that perspective, right, a lot of times, from what I've seen, you literally save that person's life. But most importantly, that person creates an identity of themselves, and he always blesses you, no matter how old they get. I swear that they'll remember that one person, just like we remember that one teacher that really had faith in us. They remember that one person, and being blessed by an individual. And some of you might think it's raunchy. It's not. But being blessed by an individual that you literally saved their life, it's a blessing that works. Okay? So, coming back to this gentleman's story, all he wanted was love. So he dreamed every day. Every night he went to bed, he would dream of, say, a wife, say, kids that loved him, that connected with him. So his motivation for success was just that. And again, what a powerful motivation. So, but according to the interview, it was about dreaming what you wanted, right? And then sleeping on it, and then it comes into reality, or you write down the after effects or what you got from the night's sleep. You'd write it down, and then you'd focus on that throughout the day. Okay? Which again is a great routine. I'm not knocking it down, but you have to understand, or you have to have the underlying purpose on why that routine works. By the way, I'm not saying any of these routines are bad, unless you're trying to control people, okay, or dominate individuals. Those things aren't that beneficial for you. It destroys you. But in this case, he just wanted love. The underlying reason, he just wanted that connection. So it prompted him to be his best possible self and create that reality. He had great ideas, great concepts. And as he grew older, unfortunately, he was still lonely. The only thing that he wanted, because he's still running that pattern, although it was that stick, that carrot that motivated him, right, to create success, to hand out to the world blessings, right, or technology, to enhance people's lives, makes people's lives happy. Unfortunately, it didn't make him very happy. Okay? He was still a loner. He was still disconnected. In fact, his wife, not as connected to him, because, well, they couldn't relate. Just like he couldn't relate as a young kid. Now, there's reasons for that. Very simple reasons that, as a child, I could literally help him transform really quickly, so he could still use it as a stick and a carrot to motivate him, but without the distortion effects. So all he wanted, again, was that love, that connection, that love of a strong woman. Didn't happen. I think he was divorced 2 or 3 times, not more. Not really connected with his kids. So, how many of you have done something fantastic to the world, for the world, right? You've slaved away, and then, you've given your heart out, you've given your life, you've given your time, you've given your family, right? You've made an impact on the world. And then what did you get back? You might have gotten some money or millions of dollars, whatever, but what did you get back in return? Was it worth that exchange? A lot of successful individuals, as they aged, as I've talked to them, they say that the success that they went through wasn't worth, because they didn't get at the end what they wanted. Okay? So coming back to the routine, that's another podcast on its own. So if you have any comments or questions as I drop little, say, knowledge bombs for you to make you think, write them down. Send them to Mossei, Masei, at Sajady.com. Okay? So for him, it didn't work out either. So you have to really understand that it's not the routines that people go through that makes you successful. What successful do is that they run success patterns inside. Okay? And because they run success patterns, what they do makes them successful. Conventional wisdom says what they're doing, right, their routines, is making them successful. Nope, not at all. It's the total opposite. It's the 180 degree opposite. They're running success patterns or a deep desire for or to accomplish something. So what they do to get that accomplishment into reality, that underlying pattern or reason behind it all, is the key. Okay? By the way, I help a lot of, again, high-level individuals get off that train once they're at a success level where they can start to actually enjoy and expand themselves now that they are successful. Okay? Again, another podcast topic. It kind of reminds me, this question here, of this movie with Jim Carrey. So it's like, what's your daily routine for success? Morning and evening, right? The rituals. It kind of remind me of Jim Carrey's movie, The Mask. So if you haven't seen The Mask, I'd highly suggest it. It's an older movie. I forgot the beautiful actress. She's so gorgeous, though. Very funny too. So the story is that basically this Jim Carrey is a loser. He works at a bank job, a loser. He can't get women. He doesn't have a fantastic, exciting life. He finds a mask floating in the river. This mask has special powers. He puts it on his face. He transforms into a whole different personality. Somebody who's vivacious, attractive, gets the women. They're powerful. They've got that magnetism. They've got plenty of money, right? That kind of individual. And he's a cartoon character because the mask projects whatever or whoever you are. So, and it's fantastic, right? He gets the girl and so on like that. But as soon as he takes that mask off, he's back to his loser self. And that's what I see, say, morning routines about. It's like you get up in the morning, you're yourself, and then it's like, oh God, I have to don this mask on, this facade on. And you have to play it throughout the day. Unfortunately, there's people who have a mask to be, say, a spouse. There's a mask. So there's a facade, there's a mask that you wear to be a spouse, to be, a manager, a CEO, whatever it might be. This is the reason why people have burnouts. It's not the real you. It's not the real you. You're a facade. You're fiat. There's no intrinsic value in you to become for you to become somebody else to become successful, because that somebody else is creating the success. You're still the same person. So as you become more and more successful, you disconnect from who you really are. And if you disconnect too far, well, this is those individuals who, famously popular, wealthy, they commit suicide, they're depressed, they go to, some drug counseling clinics and so on like that. That's why that shit happens. Okay? So, just like that movie, it's a mask. It's not the real self. Okay? What I do, and we'll run like group sessions where I help you bring that successful individual on the inside. How does that sound? Where you naturally are, say, running success patterns. You don't have to force yourself in the morning or whatever time to, say, don on this mask and then be somebody that you're not. Although you might be good at it, it's still a fake. But what if you could instill all those success patterns of those individuals, those reasons why, the deeper understanding, in a good way? Not because you come from an abuse. Okay? I'm going to tell you one more story of abuse patterns. Okay? This person got abused so badly when they were a child that, she promised herself that never again she's going to be in control of her life. And she thought that if she became successful, highly successful, that nobody would abuse her. So she became highly successful. Guess what? The success that she thought would keep her safe started to abuse her. Money started to abuse her. That sounds strange, but for many of you individuals who have created money or success in this pattern, in this format, money abuses you. The success abuses you, right? You can never feel safe because you're always worried about losing it and more. So be mindful on the reasons why. EI teaches us to, again, understand success from a different, say, factor, a motivational factor, not to say step away. Have you noticed all those stories? People are stepping away into, say, a solution that they think would provide that one solution that would satisfy their needs. Their needs all come from the same place, not becoming or not being in the present moment. If you're in the present moment, you're completely abundant. You would not be abused, distorted, or any of that nature. And again, that sounds kind of strange, but if you listen enough, that makes sense for you. Look at the grandness that you are when you're in the zone. Call it in the zone for the business people. Why do you think you're so grand? Why do you think things just work out the best possible way? You're being present. You're connected to a higher consciousness, whatever you might call it. Okay? And that's why, again, you're in the zone, things work out. And when you create from this reality, it's not that you just focus on things and things work out. That does work out. But the wherewithal for you to create that reality comes in with it too. It's an amazing process, and it works time and time and time again, just like clockwork. So we went through the questions on why, and I just want to reiterate why people burn out. Because they create two or more identities that aren't themselves. Okay? What you want to do is create that internal success mechanism on the inside. It reminds me of this individual, very famous motivational speaker. I'm not sure exactly what he calls himself, but he's probably known as a motivational speaker. He prepares himself 2 to 3 hours a day to get into that state. Now that's a fucking long time to get into a state. That's a long time. What or who are you before you get into that state? That's what question I have to ask you for all those people that have to get into those states. Why can't you just instill those frequencies within you, so you just naturally operate out of that state 24/7. And then what happens? The exercise that you do, whatever else that you write down, or the goals that you need to do, you wake up early, you work long hours, whatever it is, that becomes a joy experience for you. It becomes a space where you can say expand more and hold on to more grandness of who you are. Right? That's why you take care of yourself. You don't work your fingers. You don't destroy your lives. That's where lives get enhanced. That's where your relationships get enhanced. Because you're not trying to find a solution for the distortions that you've had or your incompleteness. You're trying to find the grandness that you are, not to run away to complete yourself. So I think we covered why we did burnout. So the morning routines. The morning routine should be an automatic. It's an installation, right? It's instilled in you. You naturally are. And then, like I said, you have a great morning routine according to your standards that'll actually benefit you. And then the last question, what single habit gives you 80% of your results? The single habit gives me 100% of my results. Is being in the present moment and noticing as much detail in my reality as I can each and every single moment. It's reference points. Okay. I'm not going to get into the details, but again, as I said earlier, the more present you become, the more connected to your higher consciousness. The more connected you are to your higher consciousness, what happens is, that natural abundance that you are at that higher consciousness filters through your physical identity. So success becomes a reflection of who you have become. It does not become a facade of the weakness that you are. So let me say that again. Success becomes a reflection of who you've become. The grandness, the higher version of who you are flows through you. It's not another identity. It's the same identity. It's not even a split. It's not you. It's not your higher self. Through the work doing EI, again, there's no duality. It's just you. You are, I am. And when you're at that point, you naturally, what do they call that? Midas touch. Everything you touch turns into gold. Your relationships, your health, your wealth, that higher connection to yourself, that emptiness that most people feel, no matter how much success they have, right? That gets fulfilled. In fact, it blossoms. So next time you try to copy a morning routine, notice or try to find out the underlying reason why that morning routine works before you adopt it as yours. As we end, it's going to be a lot of personal development. I call them meta healings, where I guide you into a deeper state of meditation, and then I work on you at your source code to help you instill those success mechanisms that made those individuals successful. Again, the fastest way to become successful. So look for that. They're under the personal development or the business paradigm on the website for you, or the higher consciousness label. All right. As we end, notice what you notice, and then start noticing the details of what you notice.
For more information on my programs, please visit massajady.com. That's MASSAJADY.com.